Good morning. Brian here from Carrico Homestead. Today I'd like to take you on a little tour of our garden and greenhouse. We've tried some new growing mediums this year, little experiments that we're doing. We are trying a potato tower and some container gardening and some straw bale gardening. So let's take you on a little tour here. So first here we have some of our traditional in-ground gardening. We had some problems getting some of our stuff started. I planted some of the squash and stuff the 1st of April. Second week of April we had 3 days in a row of frost. And although I had everything covered, things just apparently didn't make it through. So I had to replant, and I'm not sure that our squash is going to make it to germination in time before we have the fall frosts. But here we have squash that we replanted, and they're doing fairly well so far. No blossoms on them yet. My wife saw these baby pools in somebody else's garden, so we thought we'd try a couple of them. We have 4 of them. This one here has some spearmint and a couple of different kinds of sage in it. And then over here we have one that she did a cute little medicine wheel garden in, and it has all spices in it. We have some oregano and some dill and some chives, rosemary, sage, parsley. I think there's some marjoram. Over here we had a couple of old antique wheelbarrows that we've had in the front yard for just as decoration. This year we decided to plant some flowers in them. Here's one more of the baby pools. This one we have some early and some late cabbage in it. And right next to that we have a little horsehound plant. Over here's the other wheelbarrow. This one has some calendula growing in it. Nothing's bloomed yet, and we just finished having 3 days of 90 and 100 degree weather, so some of the stuff's looking a little wilty at the moment, but not too bad. Next to that we have a lilac bush. It's already bloomed, and the buds have all died off, but it looked pretty this spring. Here in this section, besides the little local bunny rabbit that we have hiding down there we go. He's hopping around in there. In this garden, there in the corner, we have a ton of horseradish. Any of my friends out there that would like some, I'd be willing to share. Next to that is a spearmint bush, all in bloom. Haven't had a chance to harvest any of the spearmint yet, so everything bloomed out on us. Down here, if I can zoom in on it, we have a zucchini that's, like I said, I'm not sure they're gonna have time before fall frost to do any producing, because everything kind of got held back from the spring frost. Here's just a little shot of the whole front yard. We've got several other plants and rock gardens, and got a lily over here that's bloomed, and some of it's already died off because of the heat that we had. And over there we have a Russian sage bush that hasn't quite bloomed yet. If that's our front yard, I'll take you on down to the greenhouse. Yeah, this is our greenhouse. I built this greenhouse myself about, I don't know, 9 or 10 years ago. Pretty much everything on it was built out of scrap. It's looking a little weathered at this point, but it's still very functional. It's 25-foot square with a 12-foot ceiling. And we switched from in-ground gardening in here to the container and raised bed gardens about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. For our raised beds, as you can see, we're using some old horse troughs that leaked and were no good for horse water anymore. Also using some old bathtubs. One of the motels in town remodeled all of their rooms and had all of these old cast iron bathtubs they were giving away. And then some container growing here, or raised bed growing in some old 55-gallon plastic drums that I cut in half. So we'll start over here. We got a couple of tomato plants going. These are, I think these two are early girls, and then the next two are beefsteaks. Got some blossoms on them, but again, because of the heat we've had here the last few days, things are kind of looking a little bit sad, but I think they'll come back. And so like I said, here we have, I believe these are the beefsteaks. They're looking pretty good, pretty healthy. Next to that we have two pepper plants. One of these I believe is an orange sweet pepper, and the other one's a yellow. Next to that I have some broccoli. This is the first time I've ever tried to grow broccoli, so not really sure how that's going to turn out. And then next to that, next to the broccoli here, we have a couple more pepper plants. These are mild banana peppers. Already harvested one pepper off of this plant. As you can see, there's lots of nice little buds on there. I think we're going to have quite a few more peppers as they start to develop. Here in this tub we have some onions. This one over here we have carrots. This one over here we have radishes. I've already harvested a couple of the radishes, and the rest of these are getting really close to harvesting. And back over here in these half 55-gallon barrels, this one here is a sweet potato. One next to that, right here, is Yukon Golds. Next to that, we have some cilantro. I just harvested the cilantro and the spinach and the lettuce mix and the arugula a couple days ago, so these are just starting to come back up for another harvest. Here was the spinach. Here was the salad mix. And then over here we have arugula. Next to that we got some beets. Got a whole pot full of beets here going. Then here, maybe kind of hard to see, but we got some peas growing. They've been seem to be struggling this year, but we'll see. Next to that we've got snap peas climbing up the trellis here and here. This one you can see we've got some snap peas that are just about ready to harvest. And then over here we have a straw bale, two straw bales that we're trying in the greenhouse. Both of these have tomato plants on them, in them. Lots of foliage, but so far I don't have, well, I guess I do, just starting out, have some blossoms on these. They were planted in the straw bales here about a week and a half after the ones in the raised beds. And that's pretty much what we've got in the greenhouse this year. The noise you hear is a high volume fan that I've got in here, and then the bearings are wearing out in it. Now we'll see what we got out. So here's our outside garden. This is another one of the squashes that I had to replant, but this one, boy, it's going to town. This one, I believe, is a acorn squash. Sorry about that. Had a little brain lapse there. No buds on it yet, but don't really expect any for another month or so. But it's growing great. Next to that in here is our compost bin. Got it all covered up to keep it hot. Back here, I collect the rain off of our greenhouse roof into that tank there, and I've been able to water this entire outside garden off of that tank, which is a great savings in water. So here you can see we have our straw bale garden. A total of 8 bales that we've actually used. I had 5 more bales that we put down in here, but I never did get them started. We just had too many other things going on. So here in this first bale, we've got some more of the cabbage. Again, I believe those are the late cabbages, and these over here are the early cabbages. They seem to be doing pretty well. Like I said, this is the first time we've ever tried straw bales, so it's kind of an exciting new medium that we're looking forward to seeing how they turn out. Next to that, we've got some rosemary, nice big rosemary plant that's coming up there. Next to that, I believe that is lemon thyme. It's doing okay. Not real great, but doing okay. Next to that, we have a pepper plant, a green pepper. As you can see, we got one nice one on there, and there's several more buds on it. Over here, we have a couple of strawberry plants. I'll zoom in on there if we can. It's not wanting to zoom. All right, well, anyway, on that one, you can see there's some strawberries on it. I'll just move a little closer. We've already harvested about half a dozen strawberries off of this one. They're not getting very big this year. They're only about the size of my thumbnail when they're ripe, but my wife said they were really delicious, very sweet. Here's our other strawberry, lots of blooms on it, and a couple of new strawberries growing out there. Next to that, we have the 2 tomato plants that we're trying outside in the straw bales. Both of them are doing pretty well and just starting to have some buds on them. And then back here, we have some container. Here's our 4th baby pool. This one also has calendula in it. Just decided to plant a few flowers to brighten up the garden. So over here in the containers, this one's a pepper. Lots and lots of buds on this one, and a couple of peppers growing. If we can get in there and see, right down there inside, we got about 3 peppers already starting to form. This container here, that's a russet potato growing up in there. We'll see how many. It'll be interesting. We'll see how many potatoes we get out of each of these containers. Each one was planted with 4 seed potatoes, and be very interested to see how many we actually get out of them. Next to that is some dill. There's a dill plant we've tried in the container, and as you can see, it's already coming to a head. Going to be ready to harvest here pretty shortly. And over here we have 2 more potatoes. This one we tried in just a 5-gallon bucket, and the next one over is in another container. And then potato tower. My wife saw these online. One of the other homestead places was trying them out and had some pretty good success, so we thought, what the heck, we'll give it a try. As you can see, boy, got a lot of potato plants coming out of it. Seems to be doing really well. There's 6 layers of potatoes in there. If any of you don't know what a potato tower is really like, you just simply take a piece of hardware cloth or fencing, make a circle You hold it up with a fence post or some kind of stake, and then you start out with a layer of straw, and then a layer of your growing medium. In this case, we used Miracle Grow garden soil, and you just have an alternating layer of straw, garden soil, all the way up to the top. And then each layer of garden soil on ours here has 3 seed potatoes in each layer. So again, it'll be real interesting to see how well this actually produces, how many potatoes it produces. So that's kind of it. That's our garden. We'll give you another back shot of it here. You can see our camper in the distance there, but that's kind of what we have for our gardens this year, and we're really excited. Other than getting a late start on some of it, we're excited to see how everything comes out. Glad you guys could stop by and take a look at this video, and if you like it, go ahead and subscribe to us. I appreciate it. You guys have a blessed day.